You guys, thank you so much for all your patience with me.
No, you're good.
Oh, thank you. Welcome to Chai After Dark. This is Shabnam. As always, I'm here with my co-host Sameem. And today we have a very special guest with us, Yasmin Elhady. She's a lawyer, a comedian, a mom, and most recently a matchmaker on Hulu's Muslim Matchmaker. Welcome, Yasmin.
Thank you so much for having me. I know it might feel like I'm most recently a Muslim matchmaker, but I've actually been a matchmaker before I was a comedian or an attorney. That's my original profession.
Nice. Well, congratulations. That is an impressive resume. And I didn't even go through all your accolades. I didn't do them justice, but I don't know how you do everything.
Don't. Yeah, I don't do it well. That's how I do it. I don't do it well, and I don't do it at one time. You know? I'm barely making it out here. Everyone thinks that like, oh, she's gonna figure it out. Oh, she's like, I'm like, are y'all
what I thought.
Crazy? Are y'all crazy? We're all just children finger painting. Like we're just trying to like find our way through the darkness, and we just have to be light, and we have to be love in every space that we enter, because everyone is in the dark. So just if you want, how do you want people to treat you? Like it's really, it's just like the golden rule. I don't want someone else's bad mood to be my problem, so I try not to make my bad mood your problem.
That's literally Sameem's motto.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's crazy.
Well,
that's okay.
I should probably give a reason for that motto, because I never lived up to that motto, right, when I was married. So now that I am, I have this whole new meme and nobody to share it with, right? So
wow. Like, well, you know what it is? You got to go through the fire to be purified, to be gold. You were elemental. Now you're shining.
I think it'd be tough if you walked into my house, or if Huda walked into my house and started asking me questions. I don't know. I don't think we'd get very far. I think you would probably beeline and reverse out and go home.
I go, you're not ready, go to therapy. Is that what I would say?
I mean, you are pretty direct, right? Like on the show, you're so direct. So it's good. I probably need to hear it, right? So
nice. I like that he admits that he might need to hear that he needs to improve.
He's good about that. I'll say
that's a man who should be in a relationship, right? Like a woman would benefit from that, I think.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're old friends. Sameem and I are old friends.
Actually, he's not ready. Okay, just take several seats, Sameem. Sorry, Sameem. I called you Shamim. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I like it. No, I mean, I've already been married twice. I think I need to figure myself out here at the age of 45, by the way. So
wow, you looking good for 45, Sameem.
Thank you.
Come on now.
Hey, am I your new Joey Behar?
You might be my new Valentine, Sameem. This is great. I love it. Like an emotionally aware, like ready to be yelled at 45-year-old. I like it.
Hey, I can't believe this, but my daughter literally texted me and she's like, you're going to ask her if you can go on the show, right? If there's a season 2.
I love it. Well, let's get a season 2, boo.
Let's do it. Okay, cool. Hey, Shabnam's already married, though. That would have been fun to have her on, too.
Oh, congratulations, Shubs.
Thanks.
She gets a little shy after dark with her husband. I like that.
Yeah, I got married just a couple years ago. So the first time I saw you in San Francisco, it was right before I got engaged. And that was when like a bunch of people went out to dinner and you and I were both there. I think we chatted a little bit. And then the second time I saw you was the end of 2022, which was just a couple months after I got married. I had a show in San Francisco and I came there with my husband and I was wearing this and you liked it and you like called me out because you liked it. And so I was like, I got to wear it again.
It's so pretty. You are pretty in pink. You have a type. I have a type.
I love the aesthetic for the show. I mean, that was really cool. And your blazer today.
Do you see my couch? It's a custom pink couch.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm not normal. I'm Barbie. So when I went on The View and Anna Navarro was like, hi, Barbie, I was like, it's working.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. She said, hi, Barbie.
I was like,
hi,
Barbie. I was like, oh my God. Yes, my dreams have come true. Yeah.
Nice. You got that little like Elle Woods lawyer Barbie vibe, right?
I wanted to be Muslim Barbie, went to law school. That's exactly what I was going.
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
Okay. And you look lovely. I like your pink.
Thank you. I wore it for you. I gotta, stay with the vibe,
I see you and I appreciate it.
I'm a little, I'm going to say I feel a little emasculated. These two powerful lawyer women, and I'm unemployed.
He's being modest. He's been unemployed for like a few weeks, and he's just between jobs. So
well, Sameem,
how's that
I'm
modest?
praying. She's just trying to say you are perhaps undervaluing yourself a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. That actually you've only been on the job market, on the job hunt for a very short period of time. So instead of like collecting an unemployment check, you're just in between jobs.
I'm collecting unemployment checks though. So.
You're like, actually, that's exactly what I'm collecting.
Yeah.
So how did you get on the show? Like, how did they find you? I mean, of course you've been out there, so I'm sure they would have had many ways to find you, but you tell us your story.
I got a call and they said, we were told we need to speak with you. That's actually what was said. And I was like, yes, of course. Of course you were told that. And of course I didn't even ask, like, who told you? What are you guys doing? That's how it happened. Cool. Look, I've been matching for a lot of years, and my Merry Mondays are pretty popular.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I used to do a vlog called Merry Mondays. I have retired it, but it might come back. I don't know if I have enough juice left in the tank. There's so many things that I'm doing, so it's just very hard to keep up. But I think people really like that weekly content. So I'm not like Muslim famous, but I am Muslim known. And so when these folks were thinking about doing a show, they had done Indian matchmaking, they'd done Jewish matchmaking. I think their natural progression was like, where are the Muslims?
Yeah.
We need to do a Muslim matchmaking. And so I was contacted and they said, do you want to do the show? And at first I was like, nah, I'm good. And they were like, why not? And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of going through some stuff and I don't know. Huda's your matchmaker. She's good. They talked to her. I said, how about you do it with Huda? So I was like, no, I'm good. No, they're like, no, really. Like, you need to do this thing. So Huda called me. She's like, can you do it with me? I said, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Cool.
So you do know Huda? Like in real life?
Or in IRL. I know Huda. Yeah. I know Huda from 10 years ago because we were almost nearly 10 years ago. We were at a wedding together. So one of the things I did, I can match couples, but I also do something. I used to do something. I don't still do it, but I used to do something part of my business where I called it crossing the finish line. So I would help couples who had already found their match kind of figure out what they needed to know for compatibility testing and what to look out for things that would really like improve the relationship and hopefully curb any hurt feelings in the future. So I gave them tools. So this is one of those couples that I did that with. I mean, compatibility testing. I did like, hey, like this is your temperament. This is what you'll need. And hey, that's your temperament and that's what you'll need. And try to feed into each other this way. Keep it at front of mind so that you can really just stay engaged in a long-term, beautiful relationship, which they still are, thankfully. Yeah. Still married, still so happy. And I was 1,000% hitting on a girl at the event. Like I was like straight up flirting with this girl to be like, how can I get you on my roster? Like I wanted to get her matched. She just was so wonderful. She was, and I knew a good guy for her. So then Huda was seated at the same table as I was. And she was like, are you matchmaking? Like, what are you doing with this girl? And I'm like, yes. How did you know? She's like, I'm a matchmaker. And then we've been starting to kind of like work together since then. She was like, teach me everything you know. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'll tell you everything about what I know. And like, here are the things I need help with. And she really helped me in many ways. And I kind of tried to give the little wisdom that I had at the time and shared it with her. And then kind of pushed people towards her when she kind of went full-time matchmaking and I became a lawyer full-time.
Very cool. So, you know, in our parents' generation, people just seem to stay together for better or worse. No therapy needed, no guidance really needed. They just kind of do it. And then our generation, we struggle. And, you know, I like to think it's because we have options and we have freedom, especially for women. I think there's a lot of women, even in our generation, but in our parents' generation, who really financially couldn't survive on their own. So that's like a big factor. But what do you think people are doing wrong? And what do you think we can all do better?
The podcast is an hour, right? I don't know if we have
I was going to say that's
there's lots of things that we're doing wrong, but I think at the top of the list is we really are using a technology. Marriage is a technology that worked for many, many centuries and millennia in an environment that makes it very difficult to stay married. So we're using an older technology in an ever-changing world that is full of reasons not to stay married. I'm going to be honest with you. And at the top of that list is that the social media and the internet playground, I call it. It's like it's like going to Vegas, but like in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like in your hand, you have the ability to destroy your life.
Yeah.
And compare your life to others and long for the things you don't have and get the thrill that you're seeking and sort of fulfill a deep unmet need.
Yeah.
So instead of turning to the person that is your partner in addition to a village that surrounds you to fulfill your unmet needs, now we have technology and the playground. And not many people know how to use guardrails when it comes to this. It requires such incredible discipline. It requires such incredible depth of like self-awareness, confidence in self, love of self, the understanding of your positionality to God, the understanding of accountability to God, to community, and to yourself. So I don't want to call it outdated. I don't think marriage is outdated. I don't think the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad becomes outdated. I think there is still lessons to be had that they are timeless. But we have changed because our inputs have changed. So our inputs are flooding us. And specifically on the social media front, just where we have an algorithm that is sending us things relentlessly.
Yeah.
That make us want to choose ourselves and look at an echo chamber of what meets my unmet need and give me that dopamine surge that I'm looking for and agree with me on everything and make it beautiful and like Pinterest it. And all, and now it's AI generated. You don't even know what's real and what isn't. So Facetune it. Do all the things to make me feel comfortable and happy and good. And then it makes being in real life, IRL, with a human being not really meet those expectations. There's always like the disappointment. Humans are human. They're never going to meet all your unmet needs. You have to fill your own cup as well. Yeah. And maybe first and foremost, you have to learn how to fill your cup in a way that is not fleeting as well, not ephemeral, but truly lasting. And as Muslims, we believe that the truly everlasting, that thing is your soul. Yeah. So if your soul is not fed right, and you have inputs day and night from other sources that are not there to give you real peace, no sakina, no peace, then it's very difficult to stay married to an individual who you can scapegoat to say, this is why I have my problems. You can argue with because you feel that major disappointment that you can use as your punching bag because you've got emotional issues and you haven't dealt with them from childhood, and you've got traumas that you haven't dealt with from childhood. So, oh my God. Yeah. It's a very big question, Shabnam. But I'm trying to answer it in the least pessimistic way, but it sounds so jaded because here's the thing. I actually do believe that love is a choice. And I do believe that you can choose to love through that. And I think that you can choose to reduce the inputs and quiet the noise that is ruining our lives.
Wow. I'm going to get a little bit deep. I can't remember the quote, Sameem. I don't know if I have my White Lotus notes somewhere, but we just had an episode where we talked about White Lotus. And at the end of the first episode, there's this voiceover where they basically talk about this quote about how you make these notions up in your mind about your identity of who you are, and you lock yourself in these cages. Right. It's
tell yourself, yes.
Yeah. And it's just interesting because I think it's really hard to change. It's very uncomfortable to change. And I've only been married for 2 years, but first of all, I'm older. Like I got married in my later 30s. So I'm hoping that that's on my side because I have a little more wisdom and a bunch of therapy, but it's been challenging to change, and it's uncomfortable. And so
every
I don't
day
know.
you almost have to decide, right? And there is something, so there's beauty in that. There's difficulty and there's beauty. Like, when God says, with every hardship, there is ease. With, not after. The Quran says it in two ways. It says after in one section, and it says with in another section. So with the hardship come ease, and then after the hardship come ease. So it's reminding the believer that there is a beauty in that difficulty. I think the beauty is that when you are intentionally choosing that person to be with them and to see them and still love them through it, and to see their flaws and to acknowledge your own, and to almost like pull from the divine, like the divine's going to have to forgive us through a lot of things, through a lot of crap. And so, it's like when you're seeing that person, can the positive outweigh the harshness that surrounds like the difficulty of being with somebody who is just fundamentally different than you? I always quote this, like the Gottman Institute says that 69% of the differences between couples is intractable. So that's at the very front of my 300 questions that I have. I explain, like, look, the Gottman Institute says 69% of the difference between couples are intractable. They're never going to be solved.
Wow.
That leaves 31% for you to agree on. They got to really matter. They got to be in that core value line. That 31% really has got to be the glue. And then you got to respect the differences of the 69% and say, okay, we're going to agree to disagree in some ways. Or maybe I will love this about you eventually, but I'm going to see that positive about you first. I'm going to choose that. That's what I'm saying. Like, love is a choice. You have to choose that. And I think the beauty in the challenge of a relationship is to say, I voluntarily choose you. I'm going to say, I choose you every day, and I choose you. Oh my God. I feel like it's so freeing. You don't have to be in a cage, and you can have an agreement with each other to say, hey, the minute this doesn't feel voluntary anymore, like, let's have mercy for each other. Because when you don't do that is when the playground calls. That's when the playground pulls.
Yeah.
And you end up in situations and places that you don't want to be in. Some people just don't have the strength of character, the accountability mechanisms, the self-love to capture themselves before they, go completely off the rails.
Yeah. And we're talking about human nature too, right?
Yes.
It's not just being Muslim, right? And for
Oh,
us,
yes.
this is obviously, we don't have to tell people here about breakups and relationships and things like that. They know what they've been through, but being Muslim though, I mean, I think you're correct. And like I said in the beginning, if I would have used some of that wisdom in the past, then maybe I'd still be married to at least one of them, right? I don't even know which one. So like
I'm sorry, bro. Yeah.
No, it's good.
It's hard.
This is like Chai After Dark is an open therapy session for Sameem. It's actually helped out a lot, so it's fine.
Good. Beautiful. I like that you talked about yourself in the third person. Yes, Sameem. Sameem loves talking about Sameem.
We have another Sameem that rotates in. No.
He's AI.
One time I did go Muslim, right? The first time I went Muslim, and it was really nice. Like, and my daughter is from my first marriage. She's gonna be 16, like in 2 weeks.
Congratulations. Amazing. Happy to her.
Thank you. And I'm going to be very honest here. I didn't raise her Muslim, so to speak, but hey, we're going to wake up Saturday morning, March 1st, and we're going to fast, So
yay!
It is beautiful. And those kind of things help me with my daughter a lot, but I'm going to be very honest. And this is like, just me, right? It's not an indication on the religion or anything, but I'm not sure how much Islam would have helped me in my first marriage, because it kind of takes two people, right? And if one person is super into the faith and one person is like, hey, I'm not sure. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Umar and Maryam. So he was like obviously into his faith, but I felt like there was different levels.
Sure.
But the infatuation that they both had for each other, like, how do you overcome that? Like, because it seemed so heavy. I don't know if it was like edited. It seemed
no.
That,
it was heavy. That was all true.
Yes, they seemed super into each other. So it's like, you make a great point. It's like, hey, if you don't think about all the other things, then this infatuation can take you to like, all kinds of weird stuff 15, 20 years later, potentially even. So, because you never did like full diligence. So I don't know. Those are some like rando Sameem thoughts, but I probably just threw
I like those. I like those rando thoughts. The thoughts, all thoughts are rando a little bit. And I feel like our thoughts are like darts that we throw out into the air and hope that it lands with somebody. And they do land with people because people are thinking the same kinds of things. I think you're right. And the only thing about religion or faith that can support you, even if the other person isn't mirroring that same level of faith practice, is that it helps you be able to emotionally regulate. So, so much of therapy is teaching you about emotional regulation. So much of parenting is teaching children about emotional regulation. It's really hard, especially when you can't emotionally regulate and you're trying to tell the kids, like, don't scream. And like, you're screaming right now, for example, That's a great example. I have that all guilty. I'm like, get in the car. Stop.
I think we just got triggered. Shabnam and I just got triggered from 30 years back. Yeah.
Right. And my son's like, but you're screaming. Okay. So I feel like religion puts things in perspective. It just helps you reorient your perspective. It also puts you into gratitude practice. It helps you in service. Service gives perspective. It reminds you to cleanse your wealth, to give. Those are all things that are really actually important in removing calamity in your life and finding a remembrance practice that centers you. So even if the other person isn't mirroring that, it can still help you if you so choose. So in many ways, it can help us with our reactions to things.
Yeah.
Because there's all these things we can't control, right?
Yeah.
And almost all the time, like 99.9% of the time, our reactions to the conflict determine everything.
Yeah. Determine everything. So I feel like this is a complete therapy. Yeah, I feel like this is a total therapy session, and I'm like, I'm going to continue in this vein, right? But so my husband is white and Mexican, right? I did not flirt to convert. I met him 6 weeks later. I met him just 6 weeks later, and I joke with my friends. I was like, 6 months in, I was like, this one's normal. I better marry him before other people figure this out. You
know what? There is a lot of truth to what you've done, Shabnam, and it's perfect. Don't lose him. Don't let him out of your death grip. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting because, obviously we have a lot of conversations about culture and religion because of our backgrounds. And it was really interesting watching the show and seeing these different cultures, even cross-cultural connections. And then, traumatic, I think, bad ways, maybe culture impacts how people choose relationships. For example, Sameem and I talk on this podcast too about, being South Asian and Muslim sometimes. We talk mostly about culture, right?
Muslim sometimes,
but, yeah. No, not Muslim, but I mean, we focus on our culture, right? But one of the things that's interesting is, and I will say this of South Asians, we tend to focus on the rituals and then sometimes lose sight of the overall picture, right? So one of the things my husband has said to me is like, so-and-so person, as soon as the prayer time comes in, they're like, jump up to pray, but they're really disrespectful. So I don't know that I think it's a good Muslim, right? So I'm like, it's really interesting to see that perspective because a lot of times growing up in my culture, it's very focused on the rituals, right? So I just wonder what your thoughts are as far as in marriage, all of that stuff. And I know that's not really a question, but
no, it's a great question. Actually, it's, how much is someone's outward religiosity really an indication of their character is what you're asking.
Yeah.
And a sign of it's going to be a successful relationship. Like, is it a predictor of success is what you're asking. Here's the thing, the ritual without the inward practice is just actions. It's just like rote memorization without implementation does not in any way, shape, or form have any bearing on your soul. Doesn't have any bearing on how you actually treat people. This is why the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, Din al-mu'amala. He said that your true creed, your true religion is in how you treat people. That's it. It all kind of boils down to that. You can't hurt another person and then pretend to be the bastion of religiosity and spirituality because you make every prayer. I mean, this has been my experience in my own life. Lots of people have all the outward trappings of faith, but there is darkness.
Yeah.
And
oh my God.
there is no light. There is no light. And if your spiritual practice is not bringing light into every room, it's kind of how we started off. Like, if you are not embodying love, then what are you doing? Because we believe that the omnipresent, the all-knowing, the one who is the most gentle, the one whose mercy outweighs his wrath, the one who has 99 mercies on this earth and is saving the rest for the day of judgment for you, we believe that that is pure love, pure, like pure forgiveness. Like,
right.
So I think that some of the things that we have in ritual are very important in orienting ourselves towards God. But it actually has to go deeper than the superficial. It's got to go further than simply me going to the masjid, going to a mosque, or wearing a hijab, or having a kufi on all the time, or keeping a beard because it's a sunnah. Those are all beautiful outward trappings if they bring you closer to the scent of the Prophet.
Yeah.
But if you don't smell like the Prophet, like the Prophet was not a harsh person.
And he treated people with gentleness.
Gentleness, eye contact,
yeah,
fully turning his body. We could just learn so much. Just he stands up for people when they pass, whether they're Muslim or not Muslim. He's like, this is a soul. So this is a person who's a deeply connected person. And I think that's what we're searching for. We're looking for people who are deeply connected. And oftentimes the ethic of someone is what really defines their success in any relationship, the ethic of someone. So if someone is treating you like they would want to be treated, that's a major indicator of relationship success. If someone is telling the truth, that is a major indicator of relationship success. If someone is able to tell the truth to themselves and to you, to themselves first. If someone is truly honest in their business dealings, if someone takes care to be very mindful and considerate of other people, control their tongue when they're angry, have a practice of self-regulation, like we were talking about. Those are going to be actually the indicators of relationship success. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be going for someone who's praying, but we saw on the show, some people were like, prayer actually is not that important. Like love of 80s music is more important. It's like, well, I'm not sure about that. Like, I don't know if that's the right measure, but for you, if that's your calculus, like that's your calculus, that's fine. But I think that if someone is doing all the outward stuff and is not doing the inward stuff, you're going to have a convert who's going to call you out so fast your head will spin. So kudos to him. He's like, I joined this group and that's not a card carrying member.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You're spitting facts. That's fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Brian's a lawyer as well, right? So, and he's a realist. So, and I don't know if it made me feel bad about myself because look, I'm going to be honest, I'm not praying 5 times a day, right? So
that's fine.
You guys,
that's fine.
You're not, no, I mean, I'm not asking permission, Yasmin. I'm like just saying it. But I guess what I mean more is, so like, if I'm bad, then I'm bad, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is like,
you don't have to worry about disappointing people. Is that what you're saying? Because they don't have a high expectation of you.
But if you're bad, are you going to put it on your pros and cons list, or your wants or your not wants? Are you going to put that I pray, but I also might snap at you if I'm angry? So I think that's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I don't think it would ever come out because people tend to, they hold their tongue when they need to. And then when they get together, then, then they take a liberty of saying what they want to say. So I agree with your 300 questions. I absolutely agree with your 3 dates intentional because, hey, how are you talking to this person when you're looking at that person, right? So I completely agree with you, and that's cross culture. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I'm cynical. I don't think I would believe anybody, and they maybe shouldn't believe my list either.
Yeah, I think you're a liar, so that's good. No, I was gonna. Any of the questions are only as good as you can only
as the response.
Yes, you can only meet someone as far as they've met themselves. And any amount of questions are only going to be as good as someone's honesty and willing to meet you there. But I will say that the questions sometimes elicit conflict because they churn things up for people that maybe they're avoiding talking about. And so it's an attempt to say, clear the mind. It's like a minefield. Talk about things. The best mirror, I think, to what a real relationship looks like is it's a little bit of conflict. It's not. I'm not egging you on, but I am trying to get you to reveal what is it that you truly believe about things like finances or intimacy or risk taking or respect or your childhood and how you want to raise children. Like, get to it, and get to it like fast. I say like fail fast if you're going to fail. That's why I want to get you on this 3-month track. not so that you can get married at the end of 3 months, but that you can just see whether or not you're missing that person anymore at the end of the 3 months, want their input on your life at the end of the 3 months, want to share, from what you're doing and hear from their life as well, and maybe touch them. Those are the kinds of things that you should should assess. Yeah, exactly. Like, do you miss them? Do you want to be near them? Do you want that closeness to them or not? Right? Do you have a magnetic attraction to them, or are you kind of like, I'm good over here? Yeah. That's how you know. I mean, like, whether you have an emotional connection with somebody or not.
Have you friend zoned them?
That was supposed to be a joke, but you guys are like, excuse me? Excuse me?
Sameem wasn't sure if he was allowed to laugh or not.
Yeah, he goes, was there a lag? What was that? Did she say what I thought she said?
I did. Look, you're a funny person, Yasmin. I'm going to be very honest. Like, you're probably the funniest hijabi I've spoken with, like, face to face, like, a long time. But
God, that makes me feel so good.
There was a funnier hijabi once. I don't know if you know who she is. It was my mom. She was.
Oh,
she was pretty. She was heavy-handed, so she didn't. She didn't keep the comedy up.
I love her.
No, you truly are. I don't know when to laugh because sometimes I'm just taking it in, right? And even like, hey, I'm gonna be very honest about The View. I typically don't laugh when I watch The View, right? It's like there's not a lot to laugh about sometimes.
Yes.
I 9 minutes 37 seconds. I was laughing. I texted Shabnam. I was like, man, she made me laugh. Like so it's.
Thank you.
I will try to laugh more, is what I'm trying to say.
Thanks, Sameem. Thank you. And I was going to say too, like, when I say that's fine, I wasn't going to try to give you permission about praying or not praying. You're allowed to do whatever you want. What I was saying is it's fine. It's like, that's okay. It's totally fine. Like, you should be with someone who accepts you again for your ethic. And your ethic is what's going to either make or break your relationship. And I think prayer helps with that, but it's not everyone's path. It's just not.
Yeah.
So can we talk about ghosting?
Yeah, we'll talk about ghosting, boo.
Were you trying to go or?
No. No, I was going to talk about ghosting on the show, and I wanted to share my theory with Yasmin and see if she agrees. I think when women ghost, it's because they're mad. Like Onia, I think she ghosted because she was mad because she felt disrespected. But when men ghost, I think it's because they're insecure. And they think that like maybe she's out of their league or something.
Okay, I don't agree with the last part.
Really?
I do. Yeah. Okay, I think that women ghost when they're mad. 1,000%. 1,000%. It's their way to be like, oh, mother trucker.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to stick it to him.
Yeah.
Watch this. That's for sure. They're trying to like throw it down. They're trying to make a statement. Now for men ghosting, I actually think it's almost always because they don't want to face the person to say, I'm not interested. It is from a lack of interest. They are just are just not that into that girl. And they don't want to face the music of having to explain why she ain't it.
Yeah.
And a part of that you could say is insecurity in the sense that like he's not secure enough to stand up to his opinion or to back his opinion. You could say that, but I think that could be like the root cause. But right above that is that he's just not in that. He don't want to be with her. Doesn't want to see her. Not interested in her. Not attracted to her. Does not want to be with her. Doesn't know how to deal with the situation. Would rather just throw up the chucks, throw up the deuces.
Yeah.
There's one more thing that I told Shabnam when she gave me that theory, and men will use anything to act on the tiniest bit of power. And it's like the least amount of power that can go to your head. And they'll do it. And, I'm not, that may include me. So
wow.
Yeah.
I love the honesty. He's like, you know what? I got to throw it down. I got to show him that I'm powerful. So I'm going to just not show up.
Yeah, the least amount of power. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't really translate.
You call it, so you're calling it a flex. It's like a flex.
It's the worst flex on earth though, right? It's like, it might be the dumbest flex I've ever heard of, but yeah, I mean, we're not exactly like, we're not very deep creatures. And if we are, then we don't know what to do, right? So like, if it needs to come out, and it's either like ghosting or they'll like do the block of text, right? Like I see on Reddit all the time, like just to like get it out. By the way, I'm trying to hold in some anger because that guy Adnan really made me mad on the show.
Yeah, Adnan Gate, yeah.
And the way you described it was perfect. Maybe you can say it again, but it was the definition of Adnan Gate was perfect. I've never seen such a poignant definition.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just when someone is trying to be merciful or thinks they're trying to be merciful by saying the meanest things.
Yeah.
Going about things in the wrong way as some kind of to absolve oneself of, of looking bad, but you just look worse doing it. Yeah.
And to do it to
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know.
wasn't into it. The second funniest Yasmin I've ever seen. Like, come on.
She's just the most wonderful Yasmin I've ever met. That's how I feel about her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and I've met me, and she's better. She's better. Really, she is.
I mean, she dodged a bullet, right? So it's okay. Like,
in many ways, and the show is real. Like we didn't know any of this was going to happen. We're like, oh, because it's so hard. She's divorced. She's coming back into the dating scene, and then for someone, and it's so ludicrous because she's obviously pretty. Like she was a model. She's an actual model. So like. This is obviously crazy talk, but it really highlights the truth of what people go through in the dating world and the dating scene and how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
There's an authenticity in it.
So tell us a little bit about the casting process for the actual contestants on the show.
Yeah, so we go through a casting agency. Like every major network has casting directors and casting agency. And I will say that, me and Huda differ on this a little bit. Like Huda's like, we had a really great response. I'm like, we did not have a great response. Like, I don't think we've had enough people actually that were willing to be really super vulnerable, especially men. Mm-hmm. I feel like Muslim men tend to want to do this whole searching for love thing in secret, in quiet. Not in front of other people. They have very specific WhatsApp groups between their guys and they're like, what do you think? It's a very quiet process. Like, is she hot? Is she not? Like they're talking to each other that way. And they don't even talk to their mom about it. Or like, they don't talk to their they don't even talk to their siblings about it. And very specific people so I'm just saying, I think it was very big to ask them to be vulnerable like that. Yeah. And there are many Muslim women that would fall into that category as well, that it's considered like shameful for themselves or for their family to even say like, hey, I'm interested in getting married, or this is what I do, or this is the person I'm interested in. It tugs a little bit, I think, at their honor or whatever. And I think it was a great response given the trust that needs to still be built because there's no show like it. But it was like a small pool of candidates because I think it was a brand new concept. But in the end, we're as good as the casting call. That's how deep our show is going to go. But I do think that we actually ended up with great people and people that were also open and maybe less than great, but open about who they really were. So I do commend them all for being on the show.
Yeah. I mean, that's not bad for a show if people are open, even if they're not great. Right.
Agreed. And I think like all shows about human beings are going to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sameem, there's hopefully an opening for you next time then, because it's hard to get men.
Sameem!
I might have disqualified myself. This stuff's out in public forum, right? So
it's okay.
Why? What did you do that disqualified you? What? Because you posted.
No, I don't think what did I say, Shabnam?
He's worried that his halal haram ratio isn't acceptable, but
gross.
Is that a real mathematical formula? Shabnam wanted to ask.
It's a proportionality principle. Yeah.
How do I get there? How do I know? Like, is there like a
You're just honest about what you are, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. Yeah.
I mean, if I was ever in front of someone, wouldn't the mahram blush or the chaperone blush potentially? So that's
we don't have any.
Concern.
No chaperones, no mahram, no welly, no. Let's just first figure out if we like each other.
Shabnam's my chaperone, actually.
Gosh. I feel like especially in our 40s, like 30s and 40s, you probably should not have a chaperone there. Just like get to know someone in public. Oh.
Okay, well,
don't touch each other. Just get to know each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's all. That's all.
With Muslim Matchmaker, people were asking for chaperones. That's why I'm And I'm not saying who.
Some people were, but it's.
But I was
there's
telling
a camera
Sameem,
crew right
There's a
there.
camera crew. There's a camera crew in Lowe's. Picking appliances. Why do you need a chaperone?
There's a camera crew.
Why was Huda staring out of a car? I feel like that's almost worse. Like, what if there was someone staring at me right now out the window?
Yeah,
like, I feel like that's almost worse. Like, I'd rather.
Yeah, it's like stalking, right?
It's a little stalking, but yeah, I don't know. I have my self-control is pretty good. You're right. I don't think I would need a chaperone.
That's it. You just got to make sure that you keep it public, and keep it above board. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, I do think like it's different, right? When you're like 20 versus like, 30s and whatever.
1,000%. When you're in your 20s, you're like, to be careful and stuff. Especially if you come from a religious family, Sameem.
Yeah.
I never had that. Yeah, my parents were never like that. My parents were like,
"Oh, really?
You talk to whoever. Yeah, like you talk to whoever you want. Just bring us the guy." They were like so chill.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, her experience, like Huda's experience, is completely different. Like she had a chaperone on all of her stuff. My parents never brought me someone try to set me up. None of that happened to me.
Sameem, did you have a chaperone when you were younger?
Like what age? Like 30 years ago, or like where was I going?
I mean, because your family's conservative, right?
My family's probably my family's probably the most conservative family here. Like shout out mom and dad, but yeah, they pray and I pray too.
Sometimes,
when I'm over there, but
holy crap! Oh my god!
I'm actually not the worst person in my family, so I am very okay with this podcast. But my parents are super conservative. I think I actually tell this story on the last episode, but my first wife I met when I was 19. She was sitting next to me in a junior college in a biology lab, and Yasmin, we can't date, right? So what was I supposed to do? Like,
you wanted to marry her.
I had to marry her. And then second time, I wifed her up, had a baby. Second time, I was like 35. I was opening the door to my company where I worked at. My boss didn't show up. He hired some new employees, so I had to like set them up. And then she sat next to me for 3 months. What was I supposed to do? So, we couldn't date. We had to get married, right? And then, hey, I followed every letter of the law.
I don't believe any of this to me, but okay, does that what happened? All right.
I mean, I did get married.
He followed your
like that part is true. He's like, that part's true.
He followed your 3-month rule. That's about all.
Yeah.
No, but you're not supposed to get married in 3 months, Sameem. You're supposed to. Yeah. So a hidden rule of 3 that's not on the show is that after the 3 months, you got to talk about a commitment timeline with someone and say, I want to be committed at this time. Like I want to be engaged at this. I see myself engaged here. I see myself, married there. But you're not supposed to make a decision about that full commitment until you've met their friends and family at least 3 times. Mm-hmm. So I want you to meet that person's friends and family at least 3 times. And oftentimes that takes another 3 months for each of you to meet each other's friends and family. Mm-hmm. And the reason that's important is because you get another shade of who that person is. Like you were saying, sometimes people are on their best behavior.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm good. What are you talking about? I'm never angry. And then they're around their friend and their friend says something and it triggers them. Their mom says something and they bark at their mom and like, oh, there it is. Like that's the real person. And so you're trying to see them with their guard down. And oftentimes that means that people aren't engaged until 6 months or even a year because we want you to see people at all turns of how they feel. When they're excited, when they're angry, when they're sad, when they're super, super happy, when they feel defeated and when they feel hopeful. We want you to see all of that.
Yeah.
I liked what the other Yasmin said on the show about watching a man play sports. I was like, that's good. Yeah.
Hey,
it reveals so much about him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I told Sameem another thing is if other men are happy to have a man around their children and wife, then he's probably like not a weirdo.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And it's important, I would say in general that when you see someone around their friends and family, you also will realize like, does this person have friends? Does this person, like who are his friends? Like you can tell so much about someone through their friendships, like the Prophet Muhammad, he said like, if a person is around a perfume salesman, he'll smell like perfume. And if he's around the blacksmith, he's going to have soot on his on his shirt. So it's like, who is he also like? Who are his boys? Like who are these girlfriends of this young woman, you know, and do they seem to be down to earth? Can you get along with them, you know, and or do they annoy the hell out of you? Like you have to, you know, you have to assess through that, because a lot of times in marriage, it's not just going to be you and your homie for life, ride or die. It's you
No.
and their family and their friends in a caravan. You know, and I actually have a 70-30 rule, which is like, I want you to spend 70% of your time with your family, but 30% of the time you got to spend alone with your own family and with your own friends. And the more time that you actually dedicate to that, the more recharged you'll be. Like, I'm not all about like, let's attach at the hip and show up at every baby shower. And like, you have to come in to this anniversary cake cutting party for my parents. And like, you got to be like, that's crazy. Men feel so caged by that. And I think women, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm triggering you. But like, men feel so caged by that. And women feel suffocated by that, because they're like, why am I around your family again? Why do I got to hang with your boys again? Like, I don't want to go to the Super Bowl party. Like, let me chill with my girls. And like, there should be this understanding between you that we are actually stronger together when we have time apart. We're much stronger together. There's many more interesting layers and things that we can talk about too. The only thing is that I caution is that in that 30% of the time that you're with your homies, like you're kicking it, don't say negative things about your spouse. I know you might want to, because it's a release valve. I understand that. But one of the things I caution couples is like, that's a really great way to ruin the reputation of your spouse, and also focus on their negative qualities with people that don't have the tools to help you. Those folks are your cheerleading squad. Those are like, rah, rah, Sameem #1, right? You can't be going off and telling them like, yeah, she did me dirty. Let me tell you, like, she left this out and she told my mom this, and then she did that to my sister. Like, they won't freaking forget it.
I did tell Shabnam everything like that, but it was after we separated, right, Shabnam? So I totally agree. Like, I can't imagine saying anything bad about either of my wives. And even we're 53 podcasts in. So yeah, I drop divorce every other episode probably. I don't think we really talk shit about anybody, right, Shabnam?
But in general, like, that's the only thing, like, in your 30%, just try to make it positive, a positive experience for yourself. So it actually is uplifting for you. It doesn't drain you. So that when you're back with your spouse, it's actually a happy time. But it also means that you have to establish care in some other way. You do need to vent. You do need to talk about what's going on in other ways. Of course, therapy is an option. A spiritual guide is an option. A mentor is an option. You know, someone that can really hold that place for you and has the wisdom to be able to give you the tools to solve your problems. And that usually is not your family. That is usually not your best friend. And what I will just finally say about that, like a little button on top and put a little cherry on top of this, like, the reason it's so important when you're in a relationship to have a weekly check-in with each other is that you need to vent to each other. Y'all need to talk to each other about what got churned up that week. What did I do this week that was great? And what did I do this week that could need some improvement, that would really just be better? And how do you want to feel supported this week? And this is how I want to feel supported this week. And here's our shared vision of the future. This is what we're going to make dua together. We're going to pray with each other. Or we're just going to simply talk about our aspirations together. That's the kind of the glue that is holding your relationship together, including intimacy that has to happen once a week. Like, if those things don't happen, you are going to seek all sorts of things outside of your own relationship. And if you don't release the steam a little bit with each other, that means sweating the small stuff, you will volcanically explode onto the other person, or completely character assassinate them with your homies.
Oh man, I don't know what to say, man. This is like really scary. I'm probably gonna, is there a season like 7 Muslim Matchmaking? Muslim Matchmaker? I'll probably.
He's like, I ain't ready.
Yeah, when I'm 52, I'm ready for season 7.
This is so funny. God, so you're really hilarious, buddy.
Hey, I did want to ask you. I've dabbled in stand-up comedy. I have, but I can't. Like, I don't know if I could ever do it again. But for you, like, now that you have, a bit more public persona, you were on The View, which we talked about, but it is people check into that show to get the pulse of America, essentially. So that's like
the nation, right?
The nation, and you've had that opportunity. So, like, where do you go from here? Like, truly, like, is it like I'd love to see you on stage, right? Like we come out, of course we come out. Shabnam's already seen you on stage too, and I have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like what's next? Like, are you going back to being a lawyer?
I'm still lawyering for now, but I would love to
Yeah.
not be lawyering.
Yeah.
I'm 39. I'll be 40 at the end of this year, and I would love to say goodbye to lawyering in my 40th year of life. I'll be 40 in December, so I've got a little bit of time. But I would love to do a one-woman show. I would love to do stand-up. I'd love to definitely do more TV. I'd love to write about what I've experienced and in an attempt to help people. I have a journal, like a 30-day journal that I would love to give to people, such as yourself, Sameem, who feels like they're not really ready for a relationship. And it's just 30 days of transformation. Like, how can you actually change your life in 30 days to actually be fertile ground for that growing of love, the expansion of your heart in those 30 days. And, all habits can be formed sometimes in less than 30 days, even in 20 days, you can form a habit. But that's what, that's kind of what the space that I want to enter is like, how do I get people to match themselves? How do I get people to love on themselves? How do I get people to address their issues? That's kind of what I'm thinking about for the future. I'd love to do more talk show type things. I'd love to be on, a daytime talk series. I feel like that's kind of my jam, inshallah. But like those are all dreams, and like I put them on my little vision board, and I think about like what I really want. I want to be in love again. I'm totally open to love. I still believe in it. I've learned a lot the hard way, and I would love for no one to have to follow in my mistakes, but to really just kind of be the older sister that I never had. That's what I would really like to do, and to help as many people as possible, mentor as many people as possible. And I think the men really need the mentoring big time, because we have a lot of women that have done a lot of self-help stuff, and they've done the therapies, and they've literally read every article. And then we've got guys who are like, yeah, but like, is that really going to solve my problems? Or like, I don't know, like it's easier to do this. Or, and I'm not saying I don't want to bag on men. I just think that they're almost not given the same opportunities to express themselves freely, to say what they really want, and to be safe in doing that. And I want men to feel safe. I don't think they feel safe at all. Yeah. Like you were saying, like, I'm emasculated by two strong women. We didn't say anything about you, Sydney. Like, we love you. Like, we have nothing. Like, we don't want to take your manhood. We like love that you're a man. We love your masculinity. We'd want to support you and help you. Okay, like, so you're in between jobs. Who the hell cares? Like,
I don't care.
Yeah, he's joking about that. He's got strong women around him all the time. So yeah.
But I think he said like it's not a Freudian slip, but I think it's saying something out loud that a lot of men really feel.
Yeah, it's like a real feeling that men have. Yes, absolutely.
Like, how can I be a man when these strong women don't even need me? Here's the truth. Absolutely. We need each other.
Yeah.
We need each other. And to say that aren't, or to say that somehow we're codependent, like it's crazy bonkers land. Hi guys.
Yeah.
Called the survival of our species. It's called complementarity. Like, I can't do everything. I need a man in my life to also do some things, and he can't do everything. He needs a woman in his life to do some things.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's why the religion is, half your deen is in coupling. It's in relationships. And that's because it's like I say on the show, it's revealing who you really are to yourself. Yeah. It's like the veil is dropped. And I think, oh, this is who I really am. Yeah. Like, I can't fake anything. This is a person who really sees me on every level. And I think you're, kind of left having to have really honest conversation with yourself, and to test everything that you've learned about your faith, to test everything that you've learned about your ethic, about whatever creed you're following in your life. It is battle tested when it comes to a intimate, long-term relationship. So, a lot of the things I'm thinking about for the future is, how do I talk to men in a way that reaches them and says, like, commitment does not mean the end of your life. We have a lot of commitment phobia. We got a lot of men who are just so scared to commit to a woman, and so scared to be themselves, so scared to say what they want. And I'm like, if that's not your type, just tell me that's not your type. Like, if I'm not, what I mean? Like, but there's a way to do that, like a non-gay, right? There's a way to say, like, not physically my type, but like, there is a way to do that through emissaries. There's a way to soften, but you do have to be honest. So I do commend him actually for being honest, because it would actually be a disservice to both her and him if he kept going. right? Like, so we also want to be merciful. We also want to reduce harm. Our religion is about reducing harm. It's not about being in misery and toiling at something and being like, well, this is the test from God. No, God wants ease for you. He does not want difficulty. He says that in the Quran multiple times.
Yeah. And in all fairness, I have to then maybe give a little hand to Fariel, because maybe she did the same thing Adnan did, but in a much better way, you know?
I don't disagree with that. I actually totally agree with that. I just wanted both of them to give it 3 chances. You saw me tell it to both of them, like, give it 3 chances because attraction is a matrix. And I think that we're also conditioned to be like, no, to someone, like we're swiping them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you don't really know if you're like, attraction can build and it can also fade. There can be somebody who's very objectively attractive with the symmetry and the perfect hair and the nail and the skin and the blah, 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 and the teeth. But like their insides, what is spewing forward makes you go, hey, and just turn off. It's not a turn on anymore. So anyway, so that's what I kind of why I want people, I advocate for the 3 dates. But yes, in many ways we want to be merciful to each other. So if you're not attracted, you're not attracted. I'm not trying to force you to be attracted to somebody. Yeah. But you never know. You never know. You got to get curious.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been so wonderful. We're so happy that you were able to join us. And thank you.
Yeah.
This was really special.
Yeah, so nice. And, I had a lot to think about, and I thank you for that. And all the men listening, we are about 95% male audience, right? Because we talk about, TV shows and pop culture. So everyone take Yasmin's advice. But thank you so much, Yasmin. And we really appreciate you coming on here. And honestly, congratulations on all your success. And we really do look forward to seeing you on stage. And if that's what you want to do, like Shabnam and I will be there. Of course, we'll be there to support you.
You're amazing. Thank you. I feel the love. I feel the love, and thank you for all the honesty. And I hope I didn't talk too much. I kind of talked too much.
No, you didn't. No, come on. I think
I do.
I'll see you on season 2.
Inshallah.
We will continue the conversation there.
Let's put it out into the universe. I would love to see you on season 2. Sameem, just go to the casting. I don't know. You may not be cute enough. I'm not sure. Look, it could be a cutoff.
You know what? I'm going to be very honest. That's never been a problem.
He's like, all I do is smash girls.
It's pretty. I think we should be happy that we do have a Merham here with Shabnam here. So everyone take Yasmin's advice. It was, if I would have taken that advice 35 years ago, man, I probably wouldn't be here right now, right? I'd probably have 7 kids. I'd probably have 4 wives. And I'm just kidding. I'm going to cut that out.
Oh my God. So you try it again.
I'm not going to say that.
Yeah. It's okay. We edit. We
edit
pretty well. We know what. This isn't live. I'm sorry. See, look at her face. I'm so sorry.
He's like, I would be smashing girls if I was. I'm like, what? He'd be like, I'd have a whole farm of children if I had heard that. I'm like, nah, bro, don't take my advice then, bro.
Everybody out there, I do not want 4 wives. I'm already halfway there. I already had my fill, right? So 1 more at a time would be fine for me. But no.
I love that. 1 more at a time might be good. That might be sufficient.
Sufficient, yeah.
I'm always making dua for people and stuff. So may Allah bless you and bless the podcast and make it beneficial for people. Make it really beneficial for people. And you're doing something positive, and may it be truly beneficial knowledge that you leave behind.
Thank you very much.
We can't do it without people like you. So thank you so much. And thank you, Chai After Dark listeners. Please follow us everywhere on socials. Hey, if you are a little confused about some of the terminology that we use today, Shabnam and I are very happy to email you back. We always respond. chaiafterdark@chaiafterdark.com. I can give you a small sample. Dua means prayer. Right?
That was good. Mehram means someone who's like a protector.
Shabnam is my protector, right? So we might actually have to put that on the calendar. I
love that. Yeah, so, you guys were really awesome, and thank you for being so patient with me. Thank you for making it happen, Shabnam. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed what you heard and you'd like to support Sameem and I, please head over to patreon.com/chaiafterdark, and you can sign up for a lot more cool paid content. As always, rate us, give us 5 stars only, please, and write us a lovely review. We'd love to hear it. And don't forget to follow us on all our socials. We're at Chai After Dark on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and everywhere.